What's good, YouTube? American RX at it again. Uh, Shout out to the subscribers, to the viewers. Thank you for watching. Thank you for viewing. Uh, this evening I'll be presenting a very important piece of information that you guys should know, and it's an international system that is in place to protect people in general from these vaccinations and all these tests they're trying to run on people for their profit and their gain, or for whatever case they're trying to do to mutate your genetics. Okay, by using patented elements in their serum to try to persuade you to take or ingest it or accept it, whatever. Okay, and this is from the British Medical Journal, number 7070, volume 313, page 1448, 7 of December 1996. Okay, you never hear anyone speak about this pretty much generally, right? In a general sense of remedies there. You don't have to take these vaccines if you work at a job and they say, oh, you can't work because you need to take this vaccine or blah 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 blah. It's all a bunch of baloney, a bunch of crap. Okay, so this is called what they call the Nuremberg Code. Okay, and this is the introduction. The judgment by the War Crimes Tribunal at Nuremberg laid down 10 standards to which physicians must conform. Physicians are what they call doctors, but physician is the proper term, not doctor. Okay, must conform when carrying out experiments on human subjects in a new code that is now accepted worldwide. So that means this is international, all right? This judgment established a new standard of ethical medical behavior for the post-World War II human rights era. Amongst other requirements, this document enunciates the requirement of voluntary informed consent of the human subject. The principle of voluntary informed consent protects the right of the individual to control his own body, his or her own body. Okay? You have the right over your own body, right? You have the title to your body. No one else outside of you have title to your body that can tell you what to do, right? Or deny you your rights because you don't want to conform to the serum, to take in a serum that's foreign to your body, all right? This code also recognizes that the risk must be weighed against the expected benefit and that unnecessary pain and suffering must be avoided, right? So when it takes 6 months to develop a vaccine, right? Less than 6 months, and is forcing you to be injected with this vaccine and your children, these are war crimes, people. This is an all-out war on the whole planet, people on the planet, right? This is genocide for lack of a better term, right? It is what it is. It's straight genocide. You can't deny it. Okay, these people who create these vaccines or whatever, they all should be held accountable and tried, right? They are criminals, right? They are war criminals. Okay? The principles established by this code for medical practice now have been extended into general codes of medical ethics. Okay? So there's principles, people. You can't just develop a vaccine and tell people to come and take it. You must take it. No. Everything has principle. Okay? So the Nuremberg Code, 1947. Right, this is after World War, right? So you know they have, like, in the death camps, the Nazi camps, they was killing off the Jews, right? Right? And when I say the Jews, I'm not talking about who you think, not the Ashkenazi, not the ones you see now. I'm talking about the Negro, dark-skinned people who was in those concentration camps that they don't show you, right? permissible medical experiments. The great weight of the evidence before us to effect that certain types of medical experiments on human beings, when kept within reasonable, well-defined bounds, conform to the ethics of the medical profession generally. The protagonists of the practice of human experimentation justify their views on the basis that such experiments yield results for the good of society that are unprocurable by other methods or means of study. All agree, however, that certain basic principles must be observed in order to satisfy moral, ethical, and legal concepts. Alright? Number 1. The voluntary consent of the human subject is absolutely essential. Alright, so when you go there and you go get your nose swabbed because you're thinking you're being tested, but you're actually getting vaccinated, who you're in your nasal, right? You consented on the deception. But in a sense, they should have informed you that they're administering a vaccine through your nasal. So that in itself is actually a crime and it's undisclosed. Okay? This means that the person involved should have legal capacity to give consent, should be so situated as to be able to exercise free power of choice. So you have to consent to these things, people. You don't have to do it. So don't let them trick you into doing it. Your consent is needed. Right? The reason why I'm pulling up all of this stuff is because I have a love for people, all right? Of all different backgrounds, people of different races. I'm not biased towards no one, all right? You all gotta start reading, man. It's for your own good, all right? If you can't read, get to someone who can read, somebody who you trust. But reading is fundamental, man. Come on, man. This is 2021. All right? Everything is online, right? So this means that the person involved should have legal capacity to give consent, should be so situated as to be able to exercise free power of choice without the intervention of any element of force, fraud, deceit. You hear that? Element of force, so they cannot force you. Fraud, deceit, they cannot deceive you. Duress, overreaching, or other ulterior form of constraint or coercion, and should have sufficient knowledge and comprehension of the elements of the subject matter involved as to enable him to make an understanding or enlightening decision. So people, when you have your children in these host pit alls, because that's what they are, they pit all of you and your children, and they're telling you they have to vaccinate your child, unless they could tell you what every single ingredient is and its side effects, they have no right to vaccinate your child. Okay? This latter element requires that before the acceptance of an affirmative decision by experimental subject, there should be made known to him the nature, duration, and purpose of the experiment, the method and means by which it is to be conducted, all inconveniences and hazards reasonably to be expected, and the effects upon his health. So they have to tell you what effects going to have on your health or person, which may possibly come from his participation in the experiment. The duty and the responsibility for ascertaining the quality of the consent rests upon each individual who initiates, directs, or engages in the experiment. It is a personal duty and responsibility which may not be delegated to another with impunity. All right. 2. The experiment should be such as to yield fruitful results for the good of society, and procurable by other methods or means of study, and not random and unnecessary in nature. 3. The experiment should be so designed and based on the results of animal experimentation and a knowledge of the natural history of the disease or other problem under study that the anticipated results justify the performance of the experiment. 4. The experiment should be so conducted as to avoid all unnecessary physical and mental suffering and injury. Now, you saw that last video I posted, right? You saw the last video I posted, right? Okay. 5. No experiment should be conducted where there is a priori reason to believe that death or disabling injury will occur, except perhaps in those experiments where the experimental physician also serves as subjects. So anybody who's administering anything to you or your children, they themselves have to test it on before on their self and or on their children before they administer it to you. Okay, so make sure you have your forms ready, the consent forms, right? I think I have the form that you could have them fill out before they administer anything. If they can't fill it out, then they can vaccinate you. Okay. 6. The degree of risk to be taken should never exceed that determined by the humanitarian importance of the problem to be solved by the experiment. 7. Proper preparation should be made and adequate facilities provided to protect the experimental subject against even remote possibilities of injury, disability, or death, right? So they have to confirm and be sure that whatever they're doing won't damage you, or hurt you, or cause you harm. 8. The experiment should be conducted only by scientifically qualified persons. The highest degree of skill and care should be required through all stages the experiment of those who conduct or engage in the experiment. Now, when Bill Gates is going to speak on vaccinating people, he's not qualified to speak on it. So why is he even speaking on it? You get what I'm saying? So all these people should be arrested and executed, man. And I'm dead serious. 9. During the course of the experiment, the human subject should be at liberty to bring the experiment to an end if he has reached the physical or mental state where continuation of the experiment seems to him to be impossible. Right? 10. During the course of the experiment, the scientist in charge must be prepared to terminate the experiment at any stage if he has probable cause to believe in the exercise of the good faith, superior skill, and careful judgment required of him that a continuation of the experiment is likely to result in injury, disability, or death to the experimental subject. Okay, and when they say subject, they mean people consent. Okay, so you're not a subject unless you consent. All right, so I'm gonna try to share this with you guys in the comment section so you guys could have it, so you could read it. And if you're in a situation where these criminals are trying to convince you to take us vaccine, you just pull this out on the bastards, right? Because they're all criminals. They're trying to use you as a lab rat for profit. Okay? Their world is coming to an end, people. You gotta come out of her. Revert back to your ancestral ways. Learn who you are. Learn your history or your story, right? Because his story is no good. Learn your story first. Right? Right? Revert back to your ways, your customs, right? Form your trust, your family trust, or your clan trust, or your tribal trust, right? And adhere to those, the trust indenture that would be the constitution of your trust. And this is how you create your own micronation, okay? So if you don't